Before we start, Nicola, I just want to thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to talk to myself and really ask some challenging questions that you might find a little bit difficult to answer. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. I'm going to start by asking you, why did you decide to actually do this interview?
Because, you know, ultimately, if you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? So I'm going to have an honest conversation with myself today in the hope that you will just get to know me a little bit better.
So why did you actually decide to start the Rebel Retreat? What motivated you?
That is such a great question. Essentially, I started it because when I was a teenager, I felt like I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders. I wanted to make everybody's life good, you know, as good as it could be. And that translated into my career in the corporate world. I focused on learning and development, leadership development, management development, and personal development coaching, so one-to-one coaching for people. And what I came to realise, particularly through the coaching, was that a lot of what people were talking about very much translated into the real world, you know, everyday lives. And so to be able to focus that and narrow that down into a retreat situation for people is very much about empowering them, giving them the opportunity to explore who they are and what they want, and then taking that into real time, into the real world, to really help people feel in control of what they want from life by asking some tough questions, for sure. But that is essentially why I started Rebel Retreat.
So in a nutshell, what do you believe life is all about?
That is a really good question. You are asking some tough questions, but good ones. In a word, I think life is about survival. How we survive is going to be different from person to person because, you know, life is challenging. We never know what's going to be thrown at us from one day to the next. Every day is different and you never know what is coming. So the idea of being able to survive everything that is thrown at us is really about who we are and how we cope with whatever is coming our way, and that is all unknown, you know, from one day to the next. So the idea behind Rebel Retreat is about giving you the tools to survive life on your terms and giving you the skills to know how to handle any of those challenges that might come your way, because life has a habit of really bringing us up with a start, and how we cope with that really is what makes the difference to how we continue on that journey through life.
Okay, tough question now. How do you feel about getting old? Please be as honest as you can, because, you know, I know this is a challenging question, but what are your thoughts on that?
Good question, another one, another blinding question. Good days, mostly, sometimes bad days, because, you know, as you get older, things start to fall apart a little bit. So mostly good days, because actually the reality is I've realised that I'm kinder to myself, I'm more forgiving of myself. I probably trust myself more, actually, as well, which is a really good thing. But I've realised that at every stage of my life, who I am is still a part of me. So teenage me is still very much present in my heart, and she helps to keep me young, and I'm very, very fond of her. But if I then go forward to middle-aged me, I do feel like I'm a different person as well, because my values have changed, who I am has changed and developed and grown as a person. So the idea of getting old and older is quite fun, because I'm looking forward to how middle-aged me is going to shape older me when I get there. And how I get there is really important, because, you know, I've realised that it's about what I want and how I want to be, and not how I feel others think I should be. So I'm living my life on my terms and not other people's. So actually the idea of aging and getting old is okay. I'm okay with it. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do look in the mirror, give myself a little bit of a, you know, a tweak here and say, yeah, actually, that would look better.
Yeah, me too. I can do this as well. You know, it does make a difference. I agree. I know we can't change things that have already come to pass. However, if you could go back in time and meet 18-year-old Nicola, what would we say to her? I mean, what pearls of wisdom would we impart that could help her to have the best possible life? What would we say? That's not such a tough question to answer, because as you go through life, you learn so much about yourself, especially if you ask the tough questions. And I spent a long time asking myself some very tough questions because of a very challenging period of time in my life. So I explored an awful lot about who I am, you know, and what values I had. So if I was looking back and talking to 18-year-old me, I would say that the biggest thing is it doesn't matter what other people think of you. What's really, really important is what you think of you, and having that honesty with yourself and that ability to be vulnerable, because actually vulnerability is like a superpower. If you can embrace that, you will grow more as a person, because embracing our vulnerability leads to personal growth. Trying to hide from that, trying to pretend that everything is okay all of the time, really just helps you to suffer. And to avoid that, just be honest with yourself, embrace the vulnerability, and don't worry about what other people think of you. Yeah, I agree with that one. Definitely. It doesn't matter what other people think. 100%. So what does the future look like for us, Nicola? I mean, you know, this is something that's going to affect both of us, so think carefully about your answer and be honest with me. That's all I ask. I try not to think too much about the future, because tomorrow is another day. You never know what's going to come at you. And we can worry too much about what the future looks like, and actually that can stop us living in the present. So I try to embrace every day as a new day and a new experience and a new adventure. Don't get me wrong, I think about the future, of course, because we have to plan a little bit, you know, kind of future-proof our lives a little. But my focus really is on about the here and now, because every day, to a large degree, I'm in control of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Tomorrow, who knows? Who knows what tomorrow's going to look like? But I do wake up every day and I say to myself, good morning, day. It's going to be a good one. And that's how I try and live my life. Thank you so much for today, for your honesty. You know, it's like I said at the beginning, if we can't be honest with ourselves, who can we be honest with? And I do really feel like you've been honest with me today. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for your vulnerability. And just carry on being you, because you know what? You're great.